Sherlock's little sister gets her own Netflix movie, and she is played by Millie Bobbie Brown from Stranger Things. Let's talk about Enola Holmes. Hey guys, thanks for joining me. My name is Dan, and we're going to talk about Enola Holmes on this video. I had been talking about this actually for a few weeks that I wanted to review it with a bunch of other Netflix movies, and then I realized with Halloween coming up, maybe it's better to just do a handful of the recent Netflix thriller movies, Halloween-type movies, and this doesn't really fit the bill, so I figured, you know what, it's about time we gave Enola some review love, and we're going to give this movie a standalone review. Before we get to it, though, please subscribe below. I would love to have you on board. We're nearing 600 subscribers. Like this video down below as well if you like the video, and comment, too, if you've seen this movie, and let me know what you think of Enola Holmes. So basically this is based on another book series. I actually was not aware of this, but Nancy Springer is the author of these, and there's apparently 6 books in the collection right now, but, you know, she's still writing them, so there could be more to go from. I'm not sure if this is based on a specific book. I guess it's based on the very first book. Okay. And that's just called Enola Holmes as well. So in this one, we have, like I said, Millie Bobbie Brown from Stranger Things plays Enola, and she's a teenager here. In this movie, we see in the beginning her growing up a little bit and learning how to play chess and doing all these really cool things with her mother, but mostly we see her as Millie Bobbie Brown as a teenager. The mom, by the way, is played by Helena Bonham Carter, and she goes missing, the mother does, and Enola decides to set off to find her and try her own sleuthing skills out. And in the meantime, her brothers, not just Sherlock, but her other brother, played by Sam Claflin, who you might know from the Hunger Games movies or Me Before You, and he plays Mycroft Holmes. But Sherlock is played here by Henry Cavill, Superman himself, and they are trying to track Enola down as well as solve the mystery of their mother. So that's sort of how the film unfolds, and all the while she is dealing with this strange and dangerous conspiracy around a mysterious lord. She meets this young boy about her age in the way as well, and kind of befriends him, helps him a little bit. Adil Akhar, I think is how you would pronounce his name. He plays sort of the mysterious character, let's say. I don't want to give too much away. We don't do spoilers here on the channel, but that's where we're at with that. So that's the basic premise of Enola Holmes. Like I said up top, this is a Netflix original film, and it's done very well. I mean, it's been out, I think, close to 2 weeks now, and it's still like in the top 10, so that's usually a good sign that people are still talking about it, people are still discovering it, and of course with the Stranger Things tie-in, Netflix seems like the perfect place to house this movie. So in the wide pantheon of Sherlock Holmes movies, I think this falls sort of somewhere in the middle. I'm not real familiar with a lot of the older stuff, although I did watch the existing episodes of the television show from the 50s. I can't remember who played Holmes in that one, but obviously, you know, the Robert Downey Jr. version is the most famous recent example of the character. That first movie was great. The second one was not very good. I would say, I don't know if I gave it a positive grade or not, but it was very, like, average. If it was positive, it was like that C+ kind of range, whereas the first one I really liked. This falls, I think, somewhere sort of in the middle. First of all, Millie Bobbie Brown is great as Enola Holmes. We see her using her real accent here. Her, you know, she's from England, if you don't know, because I mean, her American accent is so great that it's hard to tell. But I've only really seen season 1 of Stranger Things, and that was when it first aired, so years ago. So I haven't really seen too much other than season 1 of Stranger Things, and she really does carry this whole movie. I mean, she's in, I would say, just about every scene, and she's really, really good going toe-to-toe with some of these bigger names. She has a couple of really, interesting scenes with Helena Bonham Carter, and the guys, look, I mean, Sam Claflin and Henry Cavill are not your A-list actors, but she certainly stands toe-to-toe with them, and they are, 15, 20 years older than her, both in the movie and in real life. But there's a few things that sort of irked me about this movie, and then there's a few things that I really liked about the movie. So it's certainly a feminist, go young women kind of movie, and I have mixed feelings about that for this particular one because I find that you can put women up, you can put women on a pedestal by not destroying all the men and making the men look like buffoons. And Sherlock Holmes is obviously a very famous detective, and he is in here too. They're not sort of rewriting the Sherlock history. Sherlock Holmes is a very famous detective in this movie as well, and she's just running circles around him. They kind of make him look like a little bit of a bumbling idiot, not completely, but I think they could have done that a little bit more delicately. But at the same time, I really kind of enjoy the cat and mouse game they're playing with each other, trying to both solve the same mystery. I do enjoy it. I just wish it was a little more even-handed, I guess. But I do love that they are, making this strong female character. That's totally great. We've seen it many times before, even in the detective universe. Of course, Nancy Drew and some of her recent movies come to mind. But this is certainly its own character. I mean, Enola is her own woman for sure, and she's well enough defined. I mean, if there's 6 books, we probably learn more about her characterization in later installments. But this movie runs a little over 2 hours, so they could have spent a little more time with that, with the characterization, which brings me to another one of my little nitpicks. I just think it's too long. Not by a lot, but I think they could have easily cut out maybe 8-10 minutes of this, and it would have served the story a little bit better. Because as it is, the story is kind of disjointed. So they could have either maybe dropped one of the side stories a little bit, or sort of merged them together a little bit. The story sort of runs you all over the place because there's so many different things happening. So I'm not sure if that could have been served better by just maybe trimming 10 minutes off the movie and making it sort of one of the side plots or one of the extra things. Like once, again, I don't want to do spoilers, but like once one thing happens, there's still like 3 other things that need to be followed up on. We just could have condensed it a little bit, I think, and made it a little more palatable to have it be, an hour and 50 minutes or something. This does not need to be 2 hours and 3 minutes. It really doesn't. But one of the other things I really liked about it is that it is a family-friendly movie, 100%. I mean, Netflix, I gripe sometimes about that a lot of their stuff is just very profanity-laced when it doesn't necessarily need to be. There is definitely some family fun on Netflix, but for the most part, it's mostly, I would say, PG-13 or above. But, you had things like the Lemony Snicket Show with Neil Patrick Harris that I think this kind of falls into that vein. It's definitely got some harrowing things, but if your kids are old enough to watch things like The Goonies, where there's a little bit of peril, some people are in some danger, but, nobody's maybe getting murdered. Like, it's not as much intense as maybe like a James Bond movie or something like that. So I think this is something that is palatable for the whole family, certainly for young girls. I mean, I don't think it's, there's not so much violence that even like a 7 or 8-year-old girl couldn't watch it, in my opinion. And I try to be a little bit more safe with that stuff than I think some parents are, just based on what I see coming into the movie theater. But I like that about it, that it's a very family-friendly kind of movie that gives us a good heroine to kind of look up to. She's obviously smart, but with her smarts comes one of my final sort of nitpicks about the movie. It's more about her code-breaking abilities than it is about her solving mysteries. Like, Sherlock is huge into, the whole, like, looking ahead and seeing the different dynamics of things, and she doesn't really quite have that one. It's more the Enola Holmes codebreaker movie. And it works in many different ways because her mother is giving her some codes to help her find her. And, the brothers get tangled up in that as well. So there's a lot of that. But I would have loved to have seen her solve more of just a general, mystery with detective things, not mainly code breaking. There's just a lot of code breaking in this movie as opposed to sleuthing, I would say. But overall, look, I think this is a great first entry into what is, I would say, probably going to be a franchise. The first movie obviously did very well. If Millie Bobbie Brown wants to continue in the role, I think she would be smart to do so, break out a little bit from the whole Stranger Things category, and do something a little bit different, but where she really is front and center. She's a huge part, obviously, of Stranger Things, but here, like I said, she's in just about every scene of this movie, so this is her franchise, and I say run with it. If there's 6 books, maybe more to come, then do a handful of more movies. We could take one a year from Netflix, and I would be fine with that. I'm going to leave Enola Holmes with a B. I think this is certainly one seeking out a few tweaks, and you'd have something just as strong, I think, as the first Robert Downey Jr. Holmes movie. So there it is. That's my Enola Holmes review. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe below. I will have, probably within the next week and a half, a roundup of all the recent Netflix horror movies for Halloween. They've released several. And I don't even remember all the names of it, but Babysitter is in 2 of the names. But they're not related movies at all. I know that. So we'll take a look at all that. But yeah, like I said, subscribe below if you haven't. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.